Hi everyone and welcome to your new maths video. We're looking at different mental maths techniques. There's one video for everyone and there'll be questions of varying difficulties. Now it's crucial that we understand subtraction in two ways. One as counting back and the other as finding a difference. For example here I can see that 9 take away 6 immediately is 3 because that difference is 3. You also need to recognise the link between addition and subtraction. So say for example if I've got 600 take away 380, I know that the other amount when added to 380 will make 600. Now is it option A or option B? The most common mistake is that people would add the 300 to the 300 to make the 600, then add the 20 to the 80 and think that that made 600. But of course if I added 380 and 220, that would get me to 600. I'd add the 80 and the 20 to get 100, the 300 and the 200 to get 500, and add that together to get 600. I'd always need to check my answers to subtractions by doing an inverse. Have a go at the questions. You'll be able to do them mentally, and they get progressively more difficult. You'll need to pause the video. Now, if you check your answers, you'll notice for the first one, of course, the most likely wrong answer would be £2.55 if I had the pounds first. And similarly, the second one, the most likely wrong answer would probably be 350. For the third one, it's recognising that 1,930 add the 70 will make 2,000. And similarly, with the last one, knowing that I need 0.99, because if I added the 0.01, that would give me 1. Now, again, with division, we're looking at the key concept. For 32 divided by 8, I've got to understand that that means how many 8s are there in 32. Hopefully the array helps us to understand this. That fundamental principle of understanding division is really important when we come even to understand more difficult questions. Have a go at the ones provided. When they come up, pause the video. So how many 7s in 56? Of course, there are 8. I know that by using a times table fact. And how many 4s in 360? I would know that there are 90, because 94s are 360. Equally there, I would probably halve and halve again. 180, 90. For the next one, I'd probably think, well, how many 25s are there in 100? There are 4. So in 300, there must be 12. 3 lots of 4. And then in the last question, again, I would think, how many 2.5s in 17.5? Well, I know that there are 4 in 10, and there are another 3 in 7.5. So I add that together, and there'd be 7. When converting between measures, my first thing I need to think is, how many of one measure is there in another? So, for example, if I'm converting between metres and centimetres, I need to think how many centimetres in a metre? 100. Then I need to think, am I multiplying or am I dividing? When I've figured that out, I can carry out the calculation and check my answer using an estimate. When the questions come up, pause the video and have a go. So, for the first one, how many metres in 2.8 kilometres? I know there are 1,000 kilometres in a metre, so if I times by 1,000, it'd be 2,800 metres. And then how many centimetres in 650 millimetres? Well, I know there are 10 millimetres in a centimetre, and I know that there won't be as many centimetres as millimetres, because each centimetre is bigger, so it'll be 65 centimetres. Then, how many grams is 3.2 kilograms? I know 1,000 grams in a kilogram, so 3,200 grams. And then, finally, how many kilometres is 800 metres? Well, I know 1 kilometre is 1,000 metres, so it must be less than 1. 0.8 when I've divided 800 by 1,000. When converting between fractions and decimals, the key thing to understand are the differences between the systems. When we're looking at decimals, 0 to 1 is split into 10 pieces. Each piece is a tenth. 0.1 is a tenth. 0.2, 2 tenths. So if I need to find 0.7, it'll be 7 tenths. That note is more than a half, whereas, say, a seventh will be much less. Fraction system slightly different. So when we're looking at a quarters, what we're looking at doing is splitting this gap from 0 to 1 into 4 pieces. 4 0.25s make 1. For 3 quarters, I know that's 3 lots of 0.25. When the questions come up, see if you can convert between fractions and decimals. So fifths split the gap between 0 and 1 up into 5 pieces. Each piece is 0.2. So 3 fifths must be 0.6. 0.65 we can see is between 6 tenths and 7 tenths. So I actually have to break that further down into hundredths. 65 hundredths. 0.4, as we can see, is 4 tenths. And we can note that it's not the same as a quarter, because that's 0.25, that's a common misconception. For 3/8, I need to work out what 1/8 is. Now, an eighth must be half of a quarter. A quarter is 0.25, an eighth must be 0.125. Now, if I add 3/8 or a quarter to an eighth, that will give me 0.375. And so the final page, we're looking at adding more than 2 numbers together. Think about the different mental strategies you could use to do this efficiently. Have a go at the questions, and then we'll have a look at the answers. Now, these are the efficient mental strategies that I used. You might have thought slightly different ways. Here, I would think of doing the 27, add the 33 first, rather than doing them in the order that they're written. Those two are 60. Then I add 60 to 45, and that will give me 105. For the second example, I know that 17 is 1 less than 18, and 19 is 1 more. So essentially what I'm looking at doing is 4 lots of 18. Now personally here, I would double 18 to give me 36, and double that to give me 72. For the next question, I could do the same thing and work out 3 lots of 37, or I could work out 3 30s, partitioning the numbers, which is 90, and then add the 6 and the 7 and the 8. Now, personally, I would probably add the 8 and the 7 to get to 15, and add the 6 to get to 21, and do 90 plus 21 to give me 111. For the next one, you might want to add the 3 0.5s to get 1.5 and add the other numbers, or you might want to add the 7.5 and the 12.5, knowing that those two make 20. So the total must be 25.5. And for the last question, I would hope you would recognise, well, this is a bit like doing 5 times 4, but then this will be 3 more than that. 5 4s are 20, plus the 7, 23. Well done. Now, if you want more of a challenge over the holiday, have a go at the links above on the 2 logic puzzles. They're really, really great games. See how few moves that you can complete them in. Well done, have a great holiday, and we'll see you afterwards.